Good afternoon, and welcome back to our Splitting the House video show here. My name's Jerry Gertz at curlingzone.com. Today we catch up with Dan Bubola of the Calgary Curling Club. This interview was recorded about 3 weeks ago or so, so information may have been updated from the Calgary Curling Club at this point. So if you're a member there, be sure to check with Dan and anything there. They did end up canceling a number of events in September. Since this interview, the Autumn Gold Curling Classic has also been canceled, typically hosted out of the Calgary Curling Club. But, some of the things Dan's really been going above and beyond right now, trying to prepare for the season and try and create the safest, healthiest option for curlers to be able to compete and play in Calgary, where numbers are fairly good right now. But like everything, we need to figure out how to avoid an outbreak within our curling clubs. So without ado, here is Dan Bubola. Hello, thanks, Dan Bubola, joining me here on our show, talking curling clubs and COVID right now. Dan, you've really been on the forefront in trying to a few things. Publicly, the Calgary Curling on Twitter and Facebook has been putting out a lot of messaging talking about the expectations for this upcoming fall season.
Yeah, it has been interesting times, that's for sure. And our goal is to try to get as close to normal as we possibly can under the conditions come October 1st.
So Calgary, Alberta, and Canada is where you're based. What are you looking at right now for opening potentially? I know you were looking to run some events in September. You've already canceled much of your September activities. What's it looking like from here?
Well, our goal is to have the ice ready to open for our players to come out and practice 20th. When the pandemic hit back in March, we were 3 days away from completing our club championships. So we actually are planning on picking them up where they left off. Those final 3 nights, our 2019-2020 champions, league champions. And then on October 1st, we would start our brand new season with the modifications that we're going to have to play under.
Yes. We've seen a little bit of this on social media. I've got a couple photos up here that you shared with me. Thinking about Curling Canada's guidelines and what is going on there with what they've put together. I've seen the screens that you're looking at putting up. I think this is an idea that could help create some safe spaces on the ice.
Yeah, and that's what our goal is. So the Alberta plan is going to be coming out any day now. And I have been working with Curling Alberta, myself and a lot of other curling managers, I should say, have been providing input to Curling Alberta to develop this plan. And we've made some modifications from the Curling Canada plan. But in both cases, you're going to have people standing apart from each other in between the hog lines when they're not actively throwing or sweeping. We, Calgary Curling Club, have chosen to add these screens as an extra layer of protection. They're definitely not necessary, but we felt that it was going to make things a little safer and also a little easier. Rather than looking for a dot on the ice or something, you're going to have a very clear physical marker as to where you ought to be standing. And by putting those screens, we felt that it doesn't matter what the person on the sheet adjacent to you is doing. You can stand essentially back to back with them because you're going to have this divide. Clear at the top This works well at our club because we have physical dividers between all our sheets. We run a little board between our sheets. I know a lot of clubs in Canada do not have that, so it might be a little more awkward for clubs to put that in if they don't have those physical boards dividing your sheets.
Yeah, it's something that, I'm sure there's workarounds. You can probably hang things from the ceiling as another option at the same time too. Put some weight, a little bit of weights on the corners and create hanging screens almost to a degree. Yeah, there's certainly a whole lot of ways that you can kind of, look at this. You shared, I'm going to let it roll and kind of talk us through from the hack here.
Sure. So this is what it kind of looks like from the thrower's perspective. So initially you have these screens right by the hog line. So that is where we would be expecting sweeper number one, sweeper, be see a set 3 pairs of screens here, and so they're always opposite each other. That is where either the non-active sweeper or the opposition is going to be standing. And it goes right down, simply mirror image of each. So the last ones at the hog. So that makes for a total of 10 on the per sheet. So obviously there's never more than 8 players on the ice, but there's up to 5 directly on the shot. You're going to have your skip, you're going to have your thrower, you're going to have your active sweeper. So that leaves 5 other players. One who is going to be standing, should be receiving. It gives lots of options for players to stand. And if you ever have that shot where you're throwing a rock, kind of the edge of the 12-foot, and you have somebody standing at the side and they're in your way, you can simply wave to them, hey, excuse me. They can just walk over to the other side and have that, have a screen available to them. So the goal was to have an abundance of screens, not just provide the bare minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And, this is sort of one of the things we want to be careful with. Curling has seen some already with nationals, Doctors Bonspiel and Edmonton. We've got to be very careful. We kind of got to go above and beyond. And I think that's something that you're showing here, that as a club, you're kind of protecting yourself and creating, making sure that if something does happen again, you can minimize what actually happens within the club.
Yeah. And if anybody's wondering about like the cost of these things, I have to give credit to my head ice tech, Rob Fisk. He is quite handy. And when we originally started talking about this, to possibly plastic or aluminum framing and plexiglass, and then we just kept whittling it down. And Rob's the one who eventually put these together just with a bunch of PVC piping and an extra large garbage bag, which can be easily replaced. Yeah. So between 8 sheets of ice, so there's 7 dividers there, total of 35 of these. He created all of these for under $1,000.
Wow.
So it's not I understand that $1,000 is still $1,000, but it's an exorbitant cost.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ideas you could. Saran wrap is probably something you could probably utilize as another option. Buy a bunch of those, get some sort of framing set up, and whether you stand it up or hang it from the ceiling, I think there's some pretty ingenious MacGyvers out there who can put these types of things together.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
You're looking at size. What are some of the other health and safety things that you're looking at within the club? What are your other considerations? And obviously the kinds of questions that you're getting from club members right now, there's lots of people who I'm sure are trying to figure out whether they're going to curl.
So we've been trying to inform our members as we go along of the changes they could be facing. And the one thing that we always tell them is the information we're giving you is valid as of the that we're giving. So we're, we're in Calgary. The city of Calgary has just passed put in place a mask requirement that started last Saturday. We're also back in Alberta. Regulations are going to be slightly different than those in other provinces, and within Alberta, our regulations are going to be slightly different than those in different municipalities. So as we stand right now, what one of our members can expect is that they're only going to be allowed in a short period of time before their game. We haven't narrowed that down. It's probably going to be in about the 15-minute mark. You're not going to be using our locker room. You're going to change to just carry your shoes inside with you. And then we're going to tell you when to get onto the ice. We're going to have you kind of stage, as we're calling it. We're going to have these little staging areas where, depending on what sheet you're playing on, you're going to stand in a certain place. When the ice is ready, we're going to tell you to go on. You are going to be required to wear the door to the ice. That mask can come off because you don't have to wear it for physical activity. And then when you come off the ice, you're going to have to make a decision. Are you upstairs to the lounge, or are you leaving? But those are your two options. There's not going to be a sort of loitering option. You're going to have to make your pick. You will be wearing a mask at that point again too, until you get up to the lounge, sit down, and then you're going to be able to take. And probably what is going to be the most difficult part for some of our members is that we're going to have to, unfortunately, limit the amount of time that they spend in the lounge, because we're going to have to clear the lounge, sanitize the tables and chairs and such, and after everybody comes back. But we are setting up to be able to run just as draws as we did last year. We've had to shuffle a few leagues around, ask them to move 15 minutes here or earlier or later. Playing around with some buzzer times. We operate on a buzzer system. And most people have been very understanding and cooperating. We have encountered a few that, for various reasons, don't want to play under the new regulations. Some are doing it for their health reasons. They have health concerns. Completely understandable. And some just feel that the changes are affecting the game too much for their enjoyment, which I respect. We that they won't be coming back immediately. We just hope that as restrictions ease and as we are able to get to closer to normal, that we are able to get them back. We just don't want to lose them forever as a result of this.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think there's a good point there. As a club, what are the things that have kind of caught you by surprise that maybe you didn't even think about with trying to deal with all of this and getting curlers back on the ice?
So probably the hardest part was not coming up with how to modify the game to be socially distant or to practice physical distancing, or the transitioning of getting people from our front door to the ice. And we're kind of constantly thinking about these little things. And there's probably going to be more things before we actually open, or even once we open, that I hadn't thought of. But just that transition space of people waiting in our, what for us is our lower viewing area, which is where people come off the ice, and that exchange between each other. About the things that we touch, like scorecards and the pencils we have, or whether it be the scoreboard numbers or all these little things are now coming into play. Water fountains, things like that. There's just so many things that we just take for granted that we just use without even thinking of. That is sort of the hardest part. And just having to tell our members, sorry, I know you've always done that while you've been here, but unfortunately for now, you're not going to be able to do that, or this is a service we can no longer provide for you, or things of that nature.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenging and evolving year, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't expect that we're going to get it right on the first try. We're probably going to start it and then realize that there was something we hadn't thought of. So if you're one of my members watching this, please, your patience and understanding are greatly appreciated in this time.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that everybody needs to look at here. We've known about this virus now for 8 months, maybe 7 months. And so the science has been evolving on it. The reaction is evolving on it. Let's hope that everything that we're doing right now continues to move in the right direction and chance to play.
Yeah, that'd be.
Anyways, Dan, I appreciate your time. We are excited about the opportunity to get back on the ice, and the stuff that you're doing here in Calgary is, I think a big step forward, and at least make sure that we cover and protect ourselves as an organization within the sport.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Cheers. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks.